Well, the question of the day is, when have I had an opportunity to share the good news of the kingdom of Jesus, and how did the door open for me to do so? The two words we're going to be thinking about toward the end of this is the two words, watch and walk. Watch for opportunity, and then walk through the open door. So watch for an open door, walk through the open door. Two stories. One is a young girl grieving the loss of her grandfather. The other is a man, desperate man, on a train. The young girl I have a relationship with, I've known her all her life. She comes to me after having taken bike rides and playing Uno games and skip-bo games, and hands me her journal and said, "Would you like to read my journal?" And I said, "Of course I would." And in the reading of her journal, I come across a prayer that says, "Dear God, I don't know if I'm going to heaven or hell, but you know, don't you? Love, Elena." So I take that, and gently, over the course of time, I tell her that that was a very brave thing to write, and braver still to give it to me. And I ask a question. This is how I walk through the open door. Would you like to know how you can know you're going to heaven? And that's part B of the story for another time. But I was watching for an open door and then walked through it with a question. Second person was a man on a train. I don't know him. He's been sleeping the whole 3 hours we're on the train. And I'm writing. And he looks like Rocky Balboa cleaned up. And as the train slows in to stop at Grand Central, he says to me, "I can't help but notice what you're writing." Well, I didn't think he even was awake. And I was writing a very difficult part of my book, trying to find words of grace for a very desperate and dark time in my life, decades ago. And finding words of grace for a former relationship in my first marriage. And he said, "I sure wish someone would write that about me." And he began to cry. He said, "I'm so anxious. My wife just left me. I've got 3 kids. I don't know what to do, and I can't sleep. I'm so worried." And he said, "And I just took a trip to North Carolina to see a fortune teller." So there's the open door. What did you hope the fortune teller would say to you that would help you? I hoped that she would say to me that everything's going to be okay. Now the train's about to stop, and I say, "Listen, I was a desperate single parent at one time in my life as well. And I had a crisis of faith, and I called out to God. And I said, 'God, I've heard you can be trusted with my life, but I'm not sure this is a big one. But I'm going to walk with you as if you can be.' And that started what became a rock-solid foundation. And He'll do the same for you." And he began to cry. I said, "What's your name?" He said, "Matt." I said, "I'm going to pray for you, Matt." And he took my hand and he said, "I needed this moment." And he got off the train. So the commonality in the two stories is watch and walk. Watch for an open door and walk through the open door. Don't pry it open, just walk through it. One I had a relationship with, and I saw some finish and some results. The other one I had no relationship with, and I have no idea what the results are. And that's the beauty of God. Instead of us doing the work, we walk through open doors, and He walks into open hearts, and He is the final capstone to any of these conversations that we have. Well, that's all we have time for now. So long.